Let me guess, you've got ChatGPT, Claude, maybe Gemini. You're testing Perplexity because it's really good at research. Someone told you about this AI tool that you can use for video, another one that you can use design, and before you know it, you're now spending $150 a month on AI subscriptions. And then here's the kicker. You're still drowning in decision fatigue. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone. And this is actually something I think not enough people are talking about when it comes to AI. AI was supposed to make our lives easier, but if you're not careful, it's just becoming the new tech clutter, another layer of overwhelm in your business and your life that's already running you ragged. I'm Ellen. I'm a burnout and Notion system strategist, and I focus on helping high achievers design calm, efficient businesses and lives that actually support their energy. And around here, we do not chase hustle. We build structure that sustains it. Each week, we're going to explore systems, tech, and nervous system science to work smarter, feel safer, and finally create businesses and lives that run without running us down. And today, we're talking all about AI because right now, we're living in a time that's kind of like this AI tool explosion. And it's creating, in my opinion, the exact same problem we had with productivity apps 5 years ago. Maybe that you still struggle with now when it comes to productivity apps. You know, when we were obsessed with finding the perfect project management tool. And admittedly, you know my obsession around this one is Notion. But there was a time, I feel like, where we were all, myself included, ping-ponging back and forth between Asana and Trello and ClickUp and Monday, Basecamp. You know, the list went on, and I'm not even scratching the surface of all of the potential apps that we could use out there. But every single app promised to be the one that would fully organize our lives, finally get our shit together. Well, AI is kind of now doing the same thing. Except now, instead of drowning in project management platforms, we're drowning in AI subscriptions. Okay, here's what's happening. Maybe you've got ChatGPT that you use for general prompts. You've got Claude because it's better at writing. Gemini because Google says it's the best one for research. Perplexity because somebody in some Facebook group swore by it. Plus, you've got specialized tools you're using for video editing, image generation, social media captions, maybe email drafts. The list is endless. And here's the kicker and the thing that I don't think we're talking about enough. Each one of those tools can easily run $20 to $30 a month. Some are more. And when you start to do the math, you could easily be spending $100, $150, $200 a month on AI tools alone. But it's not just the money. If you ask me, the more important part of having this conversation is it's the mental load. Every time you need to do something that involves AI, you have to decide, which tool should I use for this? And that decision fatigue, it's dysregulating your nervous system because your brain is spending energy on tool selection instead of actual creative work. This is what you might have heard this phrase before. This is essentially a version of the paradox of choice. Yes, each AI tool has its strengths. Claude can be amazing for long form writing. ChatGPT is great for brainstorming. Gemini excels at research. Perplexity gives you cited sources. But here's what nobody tells you. Having access to all of them doesn't make you more productive. It actually makes you more paralyzed because now every single task requires what is essentially a decision tree. What tool should I use? Did I already pay for this one this month? Wait, is there a better tool that I should try instead? Should I learn this new one everyone's talking about? And before you know it, you've spent 20 minutes deciding which AI to use when you could have just done the damn thing already, right? If you've been following me for a while, you know that one of the biggest things I care about when it comes to systems is simplifying your systems, because more tools does not equal more productivity. It often just equals more stress. And AI is becoming the new tech clutter. Just like we used to drown in a million different apps for calendars and task management and note-taking, we're now drowning in AI platforms. Okay? Each one promising to save you time. Each one requiring you to learn a new interface, remember new shortcuts, and figure out where the hell you saved that one prompt that you wrote last week. It's exhausting. Like, we have to now teach organizational systems for our AI tools. We had an amazing speaker speak on that at my Systems Summit. But like, the fact that we need that, the fact that we need new organizational systems for our AI tools is exhausting. And it's the exact opposite for most of us of what we're actually trying to achieve. And let's also talk about the learning curve there as well, because every single AI tool requires time to learn how it works, time to test what it's good at, time to integrate it into your workflow. And if you're a high achiever who's already maxed out, you do not have that time. So what happens? One of two things. You sign up for the free trial, you use it once or twice, you forget about it, and then you get charged for a subscription you're not even using. And if that one doesn't sound familiar, this one might. Because the flip side of this is maybe you actually try it. Maybe you actually learn it. Maybe you watch the tutorials, you read the blog posts, you test the different prompts, and now you're spending hours learning a tool that was supposed to save you time. This is why I think it's so important to recognize and consider the fact that the learning curve is actually a hidden cost that nobody talks about when it comes to AI tools. And here's where this all starts to tie back to burnout. Because constantly switching between tools, learning new platforms, managing multiple subscriptions becomes cognitive load. And cognitive load dysregulates your nervous system. Your brain is designed to create patterns and routines because it feels safe. When you're constantly learning new systems, making new decisions, switching between tech and platforms, your nervous system stays in a low level of stress. And that stress compounds. It's not dramatic. It's not like a panic attack or a full breakdown. It's this slow, steady erosion of your energy. The kind that makes you feel exhausted even when you didn't do that much today. This is what I mean when I say your tools should support your nervous system, not dysregulate it. So here's my philosophy. This is something I teach inside of Burnout Proof Business, which is my core signature program, as well as in my brand new school community, which if you didn't know, we switched from Circle to School. It is something that I'm kind of a fast, messy action person, and I had the impulse to do it, and I just pulled the trigger because I just knew it would be the best for us. And we've actually, in the first week, like as this episode is dropping, we've only been live for a week. In that school community, we have 60 people inside of there. Probably more because every time I go into school, there's more membership requests. But I've got the link in the show notes if you're listening to the podcast, in the description if you are on YouTube, to join that. But this is something that I teach and I talk about inside of my signature program, which is where I give you like that hands-on, done with you support, and in the school community, which is kind of like an intro to some of these concepts. But the fact of the matter is more tools don't equal more productivity. Sometimes they just equal more stress. The goal isn't to have access to every AI tool on the market. The goal is to have a streamlined, intentional system that actually serves you, because simplicity, in my opinion, is the ultimate in sophistication. And in a world that is constantly trying to sell you the next big thing, choosing restraint, choosing not to do it, not to fall for shiny object syndrome, is a radical act. Now, I'm not here to tell you in this episode that AI is bad. I use AI in my business every single day, without fail. It's an incredible tool, especially for solopreneurs, when it's used intentionally. But I am here to give you the cautionary tale that we can't let AI become the new productivity trap. We can't sign up for every tool just because everybody else is talking about it. We can't spend money on subscriptions we're not actually using. And we can't let FOMO drive our decisions. Because businesses that thrive aren't the ones with the most tools, they're the ones with the clearest systems. So how do you decide which AI tools, if any, actually serve your business? Here's the framework that I've kind of been using unofficially to make these decisions. Firstly, start with your needs, not the tool. What are you actually trying to accomplish? Do you need help with writing, research, design, whatever it might be? Don't start with the tool. Start with the problem you are trying to solve for yourself. So that's kind of step one. Step two, test before you commit. Most AI tools have a free trial or a free tier at least. Use them and test them with real workflows, not just with hypothetical scenarios, okay? See if they actually save you time or just add complexity. And then three, limit your stack. I'm going to talk about mine in just a second, but pick one, max two primary AI tools that you use for general tasks. And maybe then you have a specialized tool if there's a specific need. But resist the urge to collect AI tools like Pokemon. We do not got to catch them all here, okay? Next, audit your subscriptions regularly. Like maybe every quarter, every couple months, look at what you're actually paying for and ask yourself, when was the last time I used that? If you haven't used a tool in 30 days, cancel it. Cancel that sucker. You can always resubscribe later if you need to, but we do not need to keep these subscriptions around just because of a what if or a maybe. And then five, ask yourself, is this adding to my cognitive load? If a tool requires constant decision-making, troubleshooting, mental energy, it's not serving you, no matter how quote unquote powerful it might be. My personal approach looks something like this. I use ChatGPT. It's kind of, I would say, tied right now as my primary AI tool, but I use ChatGPT up until about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, when the Notion AI agent dropped. I was using ChatGPT almost exclusively. I've tested Claude, Gemini, and others, and yes, they all have strengths. But the fact of the matter is the simplicity for me of having one tool outweighs the marginal gains of switching back and forth between multiple platforms. Now, since the Notion AI agent came out, I also use Notion AI because the fact of the matter is it's integrated into my existing workspace. There's no context switching. There's no new login. There's no extra subscription that I need. It's just there. And that's kind of my stack. 2 tools. And this is one of those things where, again, I'm sure Gemini does some things better than ChatGPT does. I'm sure Gemini would perhaps be a better tool for some of the things I use ChatGPT for than ChatGPT is. But if I keep it simple, if I just narrow it down to these two tools, it makes it so much easier for me, because the mental load of deciding which tool to use for every single task is just not worth it, in my opinion. My goal is to eventually get to the point where Notion AI is my primary tool, because again, it's just so integrated into the workspace that I already use. But the Notion AI agent is so new that there's still some things that ChatGPT does better. True story. I actually also do use, primarily with the Notion AI agent, you have the ability to choose between GPT-5 and Claude, the most updated Claude model, when you are using the Notion AI agent. I primarily use Claude for that. I find I actually do like Claude. I find it gives me better responses. So that's perhaps the one place I'm using Claude. But again, I'm using it via the Notion AI agent. I'm not paying for a separate subscription. I think the biggest and most important thing to remember about all of this is that the best tool, honestly, no matter what we're talking about, AI or a project management tool, the best tool is the one that you actually use consistently. Like, period, hard stop. It's not the one with the most features. It's the one that you use consistently. This really kind of, I feel like, just brings to a head why I'm so passionate about systems, because a system isn't a tool. We've talked about this recently. I did a whole CEO series on this recently, that the system is so much more than just the tool you use. It's about how you use that tool. Inside of Burnout Proof Business, which is my signature program, we don't just talk about which tool to use. We talk about how to build workflows that are simple, that are sustainable, that are aligned with our nervous system, because the goal isn't to have the fanciest tech stack. The goal is to have a business, a life that runs smoothly without running you down. And that requires intentionality. It requires boundaries. It requires saying no to shiny objects, even when everybody else is chasing them. So I want you to consider this episode, this video, if you're watching on YouTube, your permission slip, okay? You don't have to use every AI tool. You don't have to keep up with every new platform. You don't have to feel like you're quote unquote behind because you're not testing the latest thing. Strategic restraint is a strength, not a weakness. You're allowed to choose simplicity over FOMO. You are allowed to trust that less is actually more. And you're allowed to build a business that feels calm and not chaotic, even if that means saying no to tools that everybody else is raving about. Because at the end of the day, in my opinion, the most sustainable businesses aren't built on the newest tech. They're built on solid systems, clear boundaries, and intentional choices. And that is what we're building here. So if that hits close to home, you are not alone. The good news is it's fixable. These are the kind of shifts that turn your systems from overwhelming to energizing. So with that, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for tuning into the Burnout Podcast if you are listening to the podcast. Thank you for hopping over to my YouTube channel if you are following me on YouTube. This is where your nervous system meets your Notion system. This is what we're about here. And if this episode hit home, it's your reminder that structure is what sets you free, okay? You can keep building your Burnout Proof Business with me inside of the Burnout Proof Business program, inside of my brand new school community. It's where we turn the clarity you get here with these conversations into real systems that you can use to actually run your week. Burnout Proof Business provides done for you weekly implementation labs where I will actually go into your systems. You can screen share. I will walk you through things. You'll find all the links for the new school communities for these new memberships, which recently just got a revamp and an update. You will find all of those links in the show notes for the podcast and in the description for the YouTube video. So with that, don't forget to breathe. Don't forget to remember that you are not behind. You are rebuilding, and you're doing it with intentionality, which is always better. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you are on the podcast, do not forget to give us a follow, give us a 5-star rating and review. And with that, stay relentless, achiever, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.